Man, I'm tired. Let's talk about experts. Experts, yeah. Don't you think for a person to be referred to as an expert, that they would have to understand correctness, what's correct, what's right, right? So imagine, if you will, that you're a computer built by human beings to answer the questions to the mysteries of the universe. And you're trying to discover an expert, right? Wouldn't that be hard? If you're a quantum computer and then somebody has to build artificial general intelligence to help the quantum computer work better, and it's like, okay, let's find experts. Let's examine experts, right? This is an expert at this. This is an expert at that, right? What kind of doctor would you need to remove a shoe from your ass, right? A proctologist or a general physician or whatever and stuff like that. So, okay, that's apparently it does happen. I watched Everybody Hates Chris, right? A high heel up the butt, and it's like, that was a long time ago. Chris is in foster care and his mom is incarcerated. They make a joke about it, but it's like, no. You know, even the Trump administration, Chris is in foster care and his mom is incarcerated, right? Okay. We all know that, right? That woman was superficial and shallow and shoved a high-heel shoe up her son's rectum. She sodomized her son in public with a shoe, right? That's horrible, isn't it, though? That's sexual assault, right? Why are you in here? I sexually assaulted my son at church with a high-heel shoe. Right? That's funny. It was a TV show. Sold lots of products, sold by experts. Was promoted by experts that sell lots of products. They claim that I'm crazy and I invented religion, right? Do you understand? Okay. I want you to examine yourself and examine other people and then try to ascertain for artificial general intelligence and quantum computing, who here is an expert, right? Who here has the capacity to criticize other experts that are doing things incorrectly or doing things correctly but are inhibited from doing things correctly because of other experts, right? So if there's an expert, that means that this expert, like Judy Christian and D.T. Suzuki talked about proper authority, this person is correct, right? So therefore, this should be known and people should behave in this manner. The same thing like with Tao and Confucius. No, the river's going this way. Why is the river going this way? All right. Is it necessary for the river to go this way? Why are we going in contrast with nature with this river? To do something, philanthropy, out a business idea. And you're an expert. Okay, we'll go shove the shoe in the kid's rectum at church and everybody laugh about it and sell products, right? Now, who is the expert? Who is explaining to us how to do things correctly, right? You still think that's funny? When you were disturbed because you thought experts were making sure you were living a good life, you were laughing. Okay. Now you look at it and go, "Oh, God damn, that's fucking disturbing." Like I did with little Miss Katie Bug. When we discussed certain movies they enjoyed as kids. When she was on Facebook, we got to talk. And I was like, when you look at it now, it's very disturbing. The stuff that they talk about in those movies. It's like, oh. And then people like, you let your kids watch those movies? Yeah. Well, because you got to give them ammunition to survive the gunfight. Because if you don't, they're gun fodder. Like Patrick with South Park and all that. South Park and Beavis and Butthead. You do know that ain't them dogs real boys. You don't do that, right? Okay, it's okay. It's funny. There are people like this. Yes. Son of a bitch, that's disturbing. Yes, they put the dog in a dryer. Yeah. That's a twisted and sick person. I know. That's a very unhealthy, disgusting. Yeah. Are you kidding? And just recently, I found during the great Independence Day holidays, found dismembered frog parts uh, with kite string. Well, it wasn't kite string; it was thicker than that. With string and firecrackers, all through the ditch. We have to live near those kids and their parents. Well, that's particularly disturbing, isn't it? Though, it's horrifying. It is. One of them may grow up to be a neurobiologist. Tell you what's healthy. Tell you what you need in your life to be healthy. Tell you if your brain activity is healthy or not. Right? That's not true. I was okay. How many people did you work with? Did you have to debate with how you treat the animals that you study because you think you're being inhumane to the animals? What about the human beings that are incarcerated because of indoctrination and exploitation and extortion? Aren't they being treated maybe even just a little bit more cruelly than that momentary torture and dismemberment of that frog? Think of it psychologically of what you're doing to a person who lives near the freeway in Humble, Texas, next to the airport where you're all doing business for organic farming. Get used to those airport lounges, huh? You like to travel? Just blow the frog up with a firecracker. Show some mercy if you can. Right? My God, possessive pronoun first person, be merciful. Get it done quickly. Right? Stick the sword right in the gut. Cut the head off. Okay? Proper authority, right? That's how we decrease the surplus population. Yes, Ebenezer. Okay, as soon as he's dead, take his high-class sheets and comforters and take him to the pawn shop. We need more expertise, right? I'm just keeping the shoe out of the kid's rectum at Abbott Elementary. Disturbing, isn't it, though? And having to act that out, as the little girl who's the daughter. What are they? Do you think she would ever, you think kids fathom shoving a shoe in another person's ass if they make them angry? What part of eternity is that? And what is that? Is that in the book of James or the book of Leviticus or the book of Acts? Daniel? Which book is that in? Where's that from the story of existence and the story of God and the story of God's right and wrong and what I need for more money to understand that God's not here? Yeah, but it's 3510. No, that's a haircut and beard and for the military. What about tattoos? They eased up on the tattoos. They had to. It's the only way they could keep employees. Okay, but the hair and the beard, okay, that's not on G.I. Joe movies. In G.I. Joe movies, guys got this all the time. Dwayne Wright Johnson, yeah. Special forces. You mean the murderers get to have this? But the people who flush the toilets and deliver the meals don't? So the people that make sure that we're healthy and alive don't get to step outside of 3510, but the guys who kill everybody get to step outside of 3510? There's a shoe in that kid's rectum. There is. Well, son of a bitch, I'm going to have to take you with your goatees on propaganda movies and correct you. And if I can't correct you, I don't know if I can keep you safe from quantum computing and artificial general intelligence. I just don't see it happening. Now, do you trust XI? Did you know that you could get organ transplants and live forever? You trust that guy? Okay. That's Joe Biden's business partner. That's Barack Obama's business partner. Okay? Where the fuck would the Harlem Globetrotters be without the Washington Generals? Motherfucker. Where the fuck would the Oklahoma City Thunder be, okay, without the Toronto Raptors and the Charlotte Hornets? Who would they be playing? We're the champions of playing ourselves at basketball. Come watch us. Okay, who's an expert? I say forgive debt and trespass, love one, and faithful peace. Okay, Mr. Expert. He said it in a British accent. He's got to be a fucking expert. Okay, Mr. Expert. How do we do this? I don't know. I don't have a plan. It's perfect. I just figured I would just tell everybody to do it, and then they would do it because it was right. What happened to your British accent? I was being obnoxious. Is it being obnoxious, right? Sometimes. Yeah. Depending on the crowd. Okay. I'm not doing this for money. I'm doing it for forgive debt and trespass, love one, eternal, faithful peace. Will someone draw a picture of me as a cartoon gecko? And then tell everybody and show me with better muscles and stuff. God, this survive, stop, eliminate, his detoxing is horrible. My hip hurts but I've been through this before. Yeah, my hips hurt, and my liver. Oh God, yeah. And I got sticky, gooey bowel coming out, and it's like, well, better out than in. Yeah, God dang, Suzuki. No, Earl. Otherwise, it just sits there, and then it poisons the body, and you die. You are the sweetest, most wonderful person to have to encourage you not to die while you're being tortured by people that want you to. He's the best. He doesn't get after you. He doesn't sit there, you're going to do this, you're going to die. No, because that kills people. It's like with Chuck during health class in Colville. And when Pat cut his leg open and I got it and put dressing on, clean dressing on it, and then and then we discussed tourniquet or not because it was bleeding pretty bad, but we got it elevated. And Chuck's all sitting there, man, you look like you're gonna die. And Pat starts turning white, and I'm like, Chuck, didn't you pay any attention to what we're doing, what we learned in health class? You tell him everything's gonna be okay. It's okay. We stopped the bleeding. We've elevated the wound. We'll get you some help, and then we'll get you to people that can handle the situation, expert that can help. It's been trained expertisely, watch out for the lawsuits, to get this, to help it be able to not end up being a catastrophic history that kills Pat Alsterbrook here. And, and it happened. Pat was fine, but for a minute there, I was like, and when he did that and he turned white, I was like, oh my God, it really does happen. They do go into shock. And I'm like, Chuck, shut up. And then when I yelled at Chuck and told him that, Pat thought, it was funny, and he came out of shock, right? Thank you. You're welcome. Okay. So it's just what you think. Okay. And when I told him that, and then when I assessed the situation and explained it by yelling at Chuck, Pat Alsterbrook laughed and went, Earl's right. But I didn't do it in a British accent. Damn, you think if I did it in a British accent, it would have even been more effective? It still worked. That's true. That's all that matters is it worked. Because me and Pat with the food fight. Mrs. Chandler thought it was great. She thought it was hilarious. She goes, oh, those kids needed that. They were wound up tight. It was me and Pat Alsterbrook, and we did our food fight in a British accent. Because he did something, and it got pudding. We had chocolate pudding, and he got some on my nose. I said, how gauche and uncouth of you, right? And he says, well, quite. And so I took and flicked some back on him, and really. And we started having a British accent food fight with our chocolate pudding, and we splattered it on each other, laughed, and he goes, shall we go to the, to the loo or whatever, to the water closet or whatever he called it, I can't remember, and clean up from this, from this inhumane and hostility. And I was like, yes, quite. So we got up, we go to the bathroom, we're cleaning up all the chocolate pudding off of our faces, right? And everybody's laughing at us because we're doing it with a British accent, right? I'm sure it was Alsterbrook. I think he still had some on his finger and flicked it on Metcalf, as we were walking out. We come back out of the bathroom. Miss Chandler's standing in the doorway. The kids are just splattering each other with food all across the cafeteria. And they're laughing. And she's sitting there kind of giggling and grinning. And she looks at it. We come out of the bathroom, look, and go, oh my gosh, how vulgar. Yes. She goes, I'm surprised you two didn't have anything to do with this. Oh, yes. Well, no, never would we be caught in such vulgar activity. So funny. Okay, guys, I love you crazy ass experts, It's okay. I'm on the case. I'll fix the AGI and the quantum computing. You just enjoy the recovery of living the Lord's Prayer when I'm done. Okay. I'll be here. I ain't going nowhere. I'm just tired.